this book together, chapter by chapter. We are going to focus on perhaps new words for you, pronunciation, and basically the music of the language, the music of the English language. So let's get started. Chapter 1 is entitled Down the Rabbit Hole. One sunny afternoon, Alice was in her garden listening to her sister reading. Once or twice she had peeped into the book, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. What is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversations? Alice soon fell asleep, but woke up some time later upon hearing a noise. She looked around for her sister, but found herself alone. Suddenly, a white rabbit with pink eyes ran by her. He was dressed in a blue suit and was carrying a large pocket watch. He kept saying to himself, oh dear, I shall be too late. I wonder why he is in such a hurry, thought Alice. She jumped up when she saw the rabbit take the watch out of his waistcoat pocket. Out of curiosity, she followed him out of the garden and into the woods, for she realized just then that never had she seen a rabbit wearing a waistcoat, nor had she seen a rabbit carrying a pocket watch. She followed him until he disappeared down a hole near a big tree. Before she could stop herself, she found that she too had entered the rabbit hole. As she crawled on her knees, she said to herself, it is so dark in here. Where on earth did the rabbit disappear to? The rabbit hole went straight on like a tunnel and then dipped down so suddenly that Alice had no time to finish off her thought before she found herself falling down what seemed to be a very deep well. Ah! Screamed Alice as she fell deeper into the hole. She fell for what seemed like a very long time. Either the well was very deep, or she fell very slowly, for she had plenty of time as she went down to look about her and wonder what was going to happen next. First, she tried to look down and make out where she was going, but it was too dark to see anything. Then she looked at the sides of the well and noticed that they were filled with cupboards and bookshelves. Here and there, she saw maps and pictures hung upon pegs. Alice took down a jar from one of the shelves as she passed. It was labeled orange marmalade, but to her great disappointment, it was empty. She did not want to drop the jar for fear of killing somebody, so she managed to put it into one of the cupboards as she fell past it. Would the fall ever end? She started wishing her cat, Dinah, was with her. Suddenly, she landed on a pile of dry leaves. She got up and dusted the leaves off her. She then looked up and saw the white rabbit running down a narrow corridor. She ran after it and could hear him say, "Oh dear, oh my, I'm late, I'm late." She called out to him, "Mr. Rabbit, please wait." When Alice turned around the corner, the white rabbit had disappeared. She found herself in a long, low hall which was lit up by a row of lamps hanging from the roof. She saw a number of doors before her. She tried all of them and found that they were all locked. She sadly walked from one end to another, wondering, "How am I to get out of here?" She saw a glass table with nothing but a tiny golden key on it. She looked around to see if the key would open the doors, but the locks were too big. Suddenly, she noticed a small curtain that she hadn't seen before, covering a very tiny door. She tried the golden key and, to her delight, found that the key opened the tiny door. Alice opened the door and found that it led into a small passage. She knelt down and looked along the passage into the most beautiful garden she had ever seen, with bright flower beds and cool fountains. "Oh," said Alice, "how I wish I was small enough to fit through this door. I would love to go into that garden." She looked around to see if she could find another key and found a little bottle on the glass table with a note around it that said, "Drink me," in beautifully painted letters. She tasted the liquid in the bottle and, finding it very nice, she very soon finished it off. The moment she finished the last drop, she became tiny. She was now only 10 inches high. To her delight, she was small enough to go through the tiny door. She ran to the door and tried to open it, only to see that it was locked. Alice had forgotten the golden key on the glass table, which was as big as a mountain now. She tried to climb to the top, but kept slipping. After trying many times, Alice sat down and started to cry. When she stopped crying, she saw a tiny glass box under the table with the words "Eat me" beautifully marked out in currants. Wiping her tears, Alice took a bite of the cake that was inside the box. She thought to herself, "If by eating this I grow bigger, I can get the key to the door. If I grow smaller, I can crawl under the door and get to the other side. I will get to that garden no matter what." Stay tuned for chapter 2.